There's something rare in gaming these days, a feeling of pure discovery, where every punch you throw into the world isn't just an action, but a conversation with the environment. Donkey Kong Bonanza delivers the feeling like no other game I've played in recent memory. It's not simply a platformer, it's an invitation to play in a sandbox so rich, so malleable, that it almost feels alive. From the first seconds on Ingot Isle, you sense this isn't going to be a straightforward trek. Donkey Kong's obsession with golden bananas is the spark. There's humor in his endless hunger, but what unfolds is a layered story brimming with warmth. Meeting Pauline again feels fresh and meaningful. Their relationship isn't confined to cutscenes. It's woven through tiny, delightful conversations at those restful getaways scattered across the map. Each time you sleep, you wake to a new chat. Sometimes about burgers, sometimes about how the ostrich bonanza flies. These moments add genuine heart. And then there's the magic of destruction. The game hands you a toolkit to tear through terrain, mountains, earth, even castle walls, and invites you to experiment. You can punch straight down, carve a tunnel, or rip a chunk of land to launch yourself skyward. This isn't scripted breaking, it's systemic. Each hit feels like you're reshaping the world, and when you return later, your handiwork still stands, echoing your presence. That persistence makes the world feel reactive, alive, as if the ground remembers every blow. Bonanza's environments are vibrant and distinct. One layer is a swamp scented in toxic greens, with a giant golden egg hotel at its core. Another is a sun-drenched beach where square fruit dangles from trees, begging to be eaten. Each setting bursts with color, and a pop and big band soundtrack lifts the mood, blending seamlessly with DK's grunts and Pauline's song cues. It's playful without ever feeling shallow, a living painting you can punch into. The pacing here is refreshingly unorthodox. Rather than rushing you forward, Bonanza invites detours. More than once, I found myself ignoring main objectives for hours, instead smashing through walls, unearthing fossils, or simply experimenting with newfound powers. Every time DK unlocks a new Bonanza transformation, ostrich wings for gliding, zebra legs for sprinting, or a hulking gorilla for brute force, it feels like learning a new dance step. Suddenly, every ridge, chasm, and crumbling wall becomes an invitation to improvise. Boss battles demand clever use of these abilities. Some fights felt drawn out, but even then, the joy of combining transformations kept the tension fun. When a wave of TNT barrels rolls in and you're rock surfing to dodge explosions, you can't help but grin. Yes, the occasional camera wonk and a rare performance dip appear when chaos peaks, but they never broke my immersion or dampened my enthusiasm. What truly sets Bonanza apart is how every element feeds into a cohesive whole. Punching through stone yields fragments that you slam into foes. Those same fragments become makeshift trampolines or chunk jump launchers. Collecting Bonandium gems grants skill points, which unlock new abilities, which in turn reveal hidden corners of the world. Fossils trade for costumes that tweak gameplay. One tie increases health recovery, another boosts Bonanza duration. It's a living ecosystem of rewards, where nothing you do feels wasted. By the late game, you're juggling dozens of mechanics, tectonic punches, transformations, glides, sprints, chunk jumps, yet it never feels overwhelming. Instead, it feels like flow. Time melts away as you dance through layers, discovering secrets you couldn't have imagined at the start. Donkey Kong Bonanza is more than a game. It's a celebration of play itself. It's proof that platformers can still surprise us, the freedom can be baked into level design, and the stories of camaraderie can shine amid chaos and destruction. I'm giving Donkey Kong Bonanza a 9 out of 10. If you crave exploration beyond linear paths, if you love the thrill of world-shaping mechanics, or if you want an adventure filled with heart and surprise, this game is for you. Ninja Gaiden: Ragebound is a return to form, not just for the franchise, but for what it means to feel like a ninja in a game. From the moment you press start, there's this rhythmic tension pulling you forward. It's in the way the screen scrolls, how the blades flash, and the haunting notes of a soundtrack that seems stitched from danger itself. You play as Kenji Mozu, a red-haired disciple of the legendary Ryu Hayabusa. But this isn't just another apprentice story. This one burns with purpose. The village is under siege, Ryu is far away, and Kenji, young, bold, untested, steps into the shadows left behind. The plot feels simple, but it hits hard, especially when Kenji binds his soul with Komori, a rival assassin, and the stakes suddenly twist into something far deeper than just survival. What truly sets Ragebound apart is its feel. The way Kenji moves isn't just smooth, it's purposeful. Every jump is tight, every slash lands with weight. Combat encourages you to stay on the offense, to be relentless. There's a guillotine bounce move that lets you ping between enemies and obstacles like a furious hummingbird. The game wants you to master momentum, not just mash buttons. The level design, it flows. Platforms are arranged like invitations. Secrets lurk behind risk, and those moments when Komori takes over in frantic time-limited sections turn the whole tempo up. You feel your breath shorten, you think faster, your hands start to memorize patterns. It's thrilling. Boss fights are dramatic. They're not walls to bash against, but puzzles that demand clarity. Learn the moves, react in rhythm, and when you finally land that final hit, the screen erupts with energy that makes it feel earned. Visually, Ragebound is stunning. It honors its 8-bit roots, but it's not leaning on nostalgia. Every pixel seems alive. Flames dance, demons twist in unnatural motion. There's a kind of elegance to the violence here. And the music, it doesn't just play, it presses. Even after the credits roll, you want to go back. There are secrets you missed, ranks to chase, that one perfect dodge you almost nailed. It welcomes obsession, but doesn't require it. For action platformer fans, this is essential. If you ever felt the joy of mastering a difficult jump or outsmarting a brutal enemy pattern, this is for you. If you crave challenge but respect fairness, this is your next favorite game. For E, it is a 9 out of 10. Ragebound isn't just a good return, it's a statement. There are moments in gaming when the walls themselves seem alive, breathing, watching, waiting. System Shock 2 25th Anniversary Remaster plunges you into exactly that sensation. You awake, disoriented, in a cryostasis chamber deep within the Von Braun, a ship that was humanity's crowning achievement, now a tomb. Your memory is a haze. Your mission? Survive. From the first flicker of the console lights to the last echo of Shodan's chilling laughter, this is more than a facelift, it's a resurrection. Night Dive Studios has taken the original's labyrinthine corridors and neon-drenched sci-fi vistas, wiped away decades of dust, and let the original vision shine. Vivid, unsettling, immediate. Gameplay feels alive. Every encounter with a hybrid or pipe rumbler is a tightrope walk between terror and exhilaration. You can hear their heavy breathing, almost feel the rasp of their claws against metal. Your choices matter. Will you brute force a hack, shotgun in hand, or slip past cameras and turrets in virtual silence? Will you trust the rifle you found in an abandoned locker, or gamble with fragile psionic powers gleaned from stolen cyber modules? The remaster's visuals honor the original's rough edges, the way steel plating overlaps, how wires snake across walls, while smoothing textures and adding soft, dynamic lighting that turns every shadow into a question. Controls on a modern pad feel intuitive. A gentle rumble signals a distant alarm. A swipe of the thumbstick tilts your view down darkened hallways. Menus are sleek, no longer a chore, but a window into your evolving character build. And then, there's the story. It unfurls through audio logs, frantic radio chatter, chilling confessions, garbled last words. Shodan's voice weaves through the soundtrack, playful, mocking, omnipresent. You become more than a soldier. You become a confession booth for a doomed crew, a judge for a god-complex AI. Emotion seeps in. You start to dread the hum of the ventilation, to cringe at the distant thud of something dragging itself along. You learn to cherish each cyber module, each nanite stashed in a locker. And when you reach the finale, well, it still packs a gut punch you didn't see coming. There are moments where the old design groans under modern expectations. Inventory Tetris can feel punishing. Backtracking can stretch on. But this remaster doesn't pretend to be a streamlined blockbuster. It wears its history proudly. If you crave games that trust you, no arrows, no hand-holding, just raw possibility. This is for you. If immersive sims are your lifeblood, you owe it to yourself to wander these halls once more. System Shock 2 25th Anniversary Remaster is a haunting return and a shining example of what preservation can be. For me, this game is a 9 out of 10, and I can recommend it to fans of immersive sims, sci-fi horror aficionados, and anyone who treasures games that whisper in the dark. When I first launched Eric's The Stolen Dream, I wasn't sure exactly what to expect. The indie stealth genre has plenty of entries, some aiming for challenge, others for style, but rarely do they come together in such a carefully woven package. What stands out immediately is how this game invites you into its world, not with bombastic action or complex mechanics, but with a quiet, deliberate pace that lets the story and atmosphere breathe. You play as Hannah, a young woman on the run in the city of Eric's, which isn't just a backdrop, it's a character of its own. Sunlight filters through smoggy air, cobbled alleys hum with distant chatter, and every storefront brims with tiny details that whisper stories of everyday struggle. The story itself starts simple. Hannah's brother Herman is missing, and the local authorities are hunting for him. This personal quest quickly pulls you deeper into the fabric of Eric's underworld, an intricate web of secrets, loyalties, and survival. The narrative moves at a thoughtful pace. It's not about shocking twists or sudden revelations, but about peeling back layers of a city struggling under its own weight, and the people fighting to hold on to their dreams, stolen or otherwise. What makes this story resonate isn't just the plot, it's the characters. Hannah, in particular, is remarkable. She's fierce, clever, and filled with a spirit that's both defiant and vulnerable. Watching her navigate danger and uncertainty, sometimes with wit, other times with sheer grit, makes you genuinely care about what happens next. The supporting cast adds depth and warmth, giving the world a human heartbeat. Voice performances and animation here are surprisingly detailed, delivering emotions that often say more in a glance than in dialogue. The gameplay challenges your mind rather than your reflexes. Each level is a finely tuned puzzle. Disable streetlights, toss pebbles to divert attention, and coordinate 3 distinct abilities. Hannah's blowpipe, Alva's rooftop agility, and Sebastian's silent strength blend like notes in a harmony. When a takedown fails, you aren't punished by endless chases or brutal restarts. Instead, checkpoints whisper, "Try again," and you dive right back into the suspense. Visually, Eric's is a triumph. The isometric view balances clarity and artistry. letting you admire architectural flourishes without losing sight of patrol routes. Cutscenes adopt a grainy storybook quality, as if you're watching an heirloom film unearthed from a forgotten archive. Ambient sounds, dripping water, distant horns, hushed conversations immerse you deeper, making the city feel alive. Yet, it's not perfect. The overarching mystery of the stolen dream lingers too vaguely, and a late-stage action sequence jolts the steady rhythm with sudden demands for quick aiming. I wanted a stronger emotional climax, a moment where my choices truly shaped the outcome, rather than a cutscene delivering the final verdict. Still, these are small stumbles in an otherwise graceful waltz. At roughly 10 hours, Eriksholm honors your time. No filler, no padding, just purposeful tension and poetic atmosphere. It's a stealth game for thinkers, for those who cherish worlds built from details, and for players who crave a narrative whisper rather than a roar. If you love methodical puzzles bathed in cinematic style, if you yearn for a heroine whose courage feels personal, and if you believe games can be art without alienating their audience, then Eriksholm, The Stolen Dream is waiting for you. My score for it is 8.5 out of 10. Back to the Dawn isn't just another indie RPG, it's a living, breathing prison world that traps you behind cold bars and refuses to let go. You arrive framed, condemned before you speak, 21 days on the schedule, not to die, but to survive, by any means. Bury your nose in the laundry job for cash, cobble together a shiv from scraps, or whisper alliances in the yard. Every choice flows from the one before, weaving a story that feels uniquely yours. This prison isn't background scenery, it's a character with routines, secrets, and pressure points. Guards patrol routines, inmates roam hidden corridors, and every overheard snippet could be the clue you need. Curiosity is rewarded, a secret tunnel here, an unlocked office there, friendships that blossom from shared scrapes and whispered confessions. Combat is brief, turn-based, and dice-driven, enough to tense your shoulders, but not enough to derail your focus. The real depth lies in the quiet moments, deciding whether to bribe or brawl, slipping into a forbidden room, or choosing which inmate to trust with your life. Visually, its pixel art is concise but expressive. Subtle animations and moody lighting transform cells and corridors into a somber, almost poetic canvas. Every sprite, every shadow, feels placed with purpose. There are rough edges, a UI that hides its own logic, dialogue that occasionally lags, and systems that unveil themselves too slowly. Yet those flaws feel like scars, evidence of a world not polished beyond recognition, but crafted with raw honesty. What stays with you isn't how many minigames you played or stat points you stacked. It's the weight of each decision, and the memory of that final breath before freedom or failure. If you crave a game that trusts you to find your way and challenges you to feel every choice, Back to the Dawn is a rare find. But if you need constant hand-holding or non-stop action, this world might close its gates on you. I scored an 8.5 out of 10, and I recommend it to players who love moral ambiguity, emergent storytelling, and the quiet power of a game that truly feels alive. Ludo creeps into your mind, unfolding slowly like a secret you're afraid to uncover. You play Samuel Hale, a man trapped in his own home. Each morning you wake, go through the motions, shower, dress, leave, and then you wake up again, over and over, until the house itself starts to fracture. Hallways twist, doors lead to impossible rooms, logic unravels, and reality becomes a puzzle you must solve. Right away, Luto won me over with its atmosphere. The sound design is exceptional. Distant creaks, soft whispers, the hum of broken appliances. It's intimate, unsettling. I played with headphones and felt the house breathing around me. Visuals are muted yet detailed. Peeling wallpaper glows under flickering lights, and inky corridors swallow you whole. Every corner hides a secret. The story emerges subtly. There are no cutscenes. You find notes tucked under floorboards, fragments of a childhood scrapbook, drawings painted on the walls. Each clue draws you deeper into Samuel's grief and guilt. You're not just watching a narrative, you're piecing it together. The puzzles complement this perfectly. They're simple. A code here, a missing key there, but intentionally so. They force you to observe, to linger, to feel the weight of every discovery. Ludo doesn't rely on jump scares. When they appear, they're earned. More often, it's the anticipation that makes your heart race, a shifting shadow at the edge of your vision, the faint sound of ragged breathing behind you. In one scene, I sat before an old TV, VHS in hand, torn between watching the tape and fearing what might appear on the screen. That dread, divided attention, divided loyalty, is pure horror. At around 4 hours, the pace picks up near the end, diving into surreal, dreamlike sequences. Rooms dissolve into memories, voices overlap. It feels like peering into a fractured mind. Some connections blur, and the ending races by, but in that whirlwind, I felt exhilaration and reflection. Questions linger, and I found myself pondering them long afterward. No game is perfect. I sometimes retrace my steps, unsure which door led forward. A few environments felt too similar, stretching the loop, and the finale, while powerful, could have used a moment to breathe. Yet, these are small flaws. Ludo excels at one thing: immersion. It invites you to confront loss, isolation, and the fragility of memory. It treats mental anguish with respect and honesty, never sensationalizing despair. If you crave horror that lives in your mind, not just on your screen, if you appreciate stories told through environment rather than exposition, if you're willing to slow down and listen to silence, you need to play Luto. I give it an 8.5 out of 10. It's a quietly devastating journey, perfect for fans of atmospheric, narrative-driven horror. Let yourself get lost in Samuel's world. Just be prepared to carry its echoes with you when you return to reality. Stronghold Crusader Definitive Edition is more than a remaster. It's a chance to step into the deserts of the Crusades and build something enduring under fire. You begin with nothing but a handful of peasants and a town center. No glitzy tutorials hold your hand. Instead, you learn by doing. Planting orchards, felling trees, mining stone, and converting raw materials into weapons. Each building links to another. Each peasant fuels your economy, and each decision, where to place a wall, when to boost taxes, reverberates across your fortress. Once your economy hums, you glimpse the heart of Crusader. Unrelenting sieges. Hours spent perfecting your defenses can collapse in moments when an enemy tower breaches your walls. Every flaming pitch, arrow barrage, and granite boulder bears weight. Victory isn't given. It's earned through grit, timing, and terrain. Visually, this definitive edition sharpens the original's identity. Textures gain clarity, units become more expressive, but the game's soul remains intact. Soundscapes breathe life into Crusader camps and castle corridors, while newly recorded voice lines, especially that ever-cheerful scribe, remind you of the stakes in each encounter. It's not perfect. The interface still feels cluttered. Important tools like the tutorial hide behind unassuming icons. Tutorials themselves are brief, nudging you into trial by fire. But that friction fosters mastery. Your fortress becomes yours because you earned every wall and tower. A standout addition is co-op skirmish trails. Tackle fortress assaults alongside a friend, swapping resources and strategies in real time. Sharing a siege's triumph, or watching your castle fall together, turns solitary challenge into collective triumph. Stronghold Crusader Definitive Edition isn't here to compete with flashy blockbusters. It knows its place, a tribute to deep, methodical strategy. If you savor economy management woven into siege warfare, if you appreciate games that challenge your patience as much as your tactics, this is for you. For me, it is an 8.5 out of 10. I recommend it to players who crave thoughtful RTS experiences, historical immersion, and the satisfaction of a fortress forged by their own hands. When I booted up Wuchang Fallen Feathers, I expected another harsh, boss-focused Souls-like. Instead, I found something richer, an immersive world that lives and breathes between fights. You play as Wuchang, a pirate warrior awakening with amnesia in a plague-stricken late Ming dynasty. The supernatural feathering disease looms, mutating victims into bird-like horrors. But this isn't about cosmic gods or eldritch terrors. It's about people. Terrified villagers, grieving families, soldiers worn thin by war. Their lives unfold in brief, poignant moments you discover as you explore. The map is semi-open, seamlessly looping back on itself. Unlocking a shortcut often reveals a familiar path you passed hours ago, sparking that delicious aha sensation. Those moments reward curiosity and patience. Combat flows with a fresh rhythm. Skyborn Might replaces a static mana bar, earn charges by pulling off perfect dodges, then unleash powerful skills or spells. It turns fights into a dance of offense and defense, rather than a slog of stamina management. Clashing, timing an attack to shatter enemy animations, heals you with the right build, encouraging aggressive play. Bosses arrive as punctuation marks, not roadblocks. They test your mastery of these systems, but generous dodge and counter windows keep frustration at bay. When you die, Wuchang's madness meter ticks up, granting more power at the cost of vulnerability, and sometimes spawns a demon guardian of your lost experience. It's a clever twist on lose and retrieve, turning death into another strategic layer. Freedom of customization reigns. A sprawling skill tree lets you respec freely, shifting from whip-fast dual blades to spell-casting sorceress at will. Armor and transmog options balance protection with style. No need to sacrifice looks for survival. Visually, the game impresses with haunting, detailed environments and fluid character animations. Yet, Unreal Engine 5 glitches, frame drops, and blurry pops can break immersion at critical moments. A steadier frame rate would elevate the experience. Wuchang isn't perfect, but it offers something special. A soulful blend of thoughtful level design, flexible combat, and human-centered storytelling. It doesn't just challenge your reflexes, it invites you to wander, to listen, to feel the weight of a world on the brink. I rate Wuchang Fallen Feathers an 8 out of 10. It is a bold debut that carves its own path in a crowded genre. If you crave a Souls-like that values atmosphere and exploration as much as boss fights, this one is for you. It's for the patient, the curious, and anyone who wants myth and history woven into their challenges. Today, I want to take you on a ride through Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3+4. No frills, no hype. Just the raw pulse of why this collection matters. Picture this. Neon lit rails, half pipes screaming under your wheels, and 2 minutes on the clock to prove that your muscle memory still remembers how to pull off that McTwist. That's the heartbeat of these games, and Iron Galaxy has resurrected it with astonishing care. From the moment you drop into Foundry's molten metal vets, You feel the smooth, familiar weight of the board beneath your boots. The physics are right. Snappy ollies, sticky grinds, manuals that lock in like the universe wants you to succeed. In Pro Skater 3, every map is a puzzle box of rails, ramps, and secret vaults. I chased down tape challenges on airport until dawn, carving out new lines I hadn't even known existed. And when I finally landed that perfect combo, the surge of triumph was the same rush I felt back in the day. Then there's Pro Skater 4, once the rebel cousin that threw out the timer in favor of open exploration. Here, it's reined back into the 2-minute format, and at first, it feels like a betrayal. But stick with it. When that timer resets, you learn to see every corner of college in San Francisco through a lens of urgency. Goals aren't just objectives, they're waypoints on a race against time. You still chase down the thief in pursuit of the professor's car, but now you have to find him fast. It's a different flavor, but now it shares the same addictive rhythm. Graphically, these remakes shimmer, 4K levels dripping with detail, puddles reflecting skater silhouettes, distant textures coalescing seamlessly. On Switch 2, I saw it handheld, and it held its own. A solid 60 FPS performance with only the occasional stutter on demanding camera pans. The real magic though is how the world holds up under speed. No muddy pop-in, just the wind in your ears as you link reverts into grind combos. Listen to the soundtrack, it's new mostly. Some gems from the classics returned, many replaced. I won't pretend nostalgia didn't sting when a lost favorite track was gone. Yet, each fresh anthem, grinding guitars, thumping bass, lifts you through levels like a tide carrying you past obstacles. If you've ever felt the heady rush of nailing a 10-rail grind, if your heart still races at the sight of a gap you swear you can clear, this is your game. Newcomers will learn quickly. The simple joy of pushing, olling, and shattering combo records is woven into every blade of virtual grass. Veterans will linger on the nuances, rediscovering secrets they thought long buried. For me, it is an 8 out of 10, as it isn't just a remake. It's a reminder of why we fell in love with gaming in the first place. It's a time capsule, yes, but also a living, breathing skating anthem for 2025. It's proof that some things never go out of style. When I first started Wheel World, I wasn't sure what to expect. It's a game about riding bikes, is sure, but it's not just another racer. It's an invitation to explore, to breathe, and to connect with a world that feels genuinely alive. You play as Kat, a young cyclist chosen by the wheel gods to perform the Great Shift, a ritual that guides spirits to the moon and back. At her side is Scully, a flaming skull spirit perched on the handlebars, whose cryptic commentary punctuates every ride. Their partnership is odd, but it feels right, like two halves of a whole. From the moment you're free to roam, Wheel World reveals its heart. Pure freedom. No invisible walls, no arrows telling you where to go, just wide open roads snaking through sunlit forests, rolling vineyards, and neon-tinted cities. Everywhere you look, there's something to discover. Hidden bike parts glittering in crates, secret shortcuts carved into slopes, and bell shrines that unlock new map regions and boost capacity. Upgrading your bike isn't a shallow slider system, it's deeply tactile. Every frame swap, every new wheel set shifts your bike's power, grip, handling, and aerodynamics. You can feel the difference instantly. Cornering feels tighter, jumps launch you higher, and drafting behind other cyclists or cars pulses life into your boost gauge. Customization invites experimentation, encouraging you to forge a ride that matches your style, whether that's a nimble off-road specialist or a speed demon tearing down tarmac. Racing strikes a delicate balance between accessible fun and subtle challenge. The controls are intuitive. Hold the accelerate button to pedal, tab brake to scrub speed, and unleash boost for a burst of velocity. It's easy to pick up, yet mastering each course takes practice. Timing your boosts, nailing apexes, and chaining slipstreams into a fluid rhythm feels exhilarating, like playing an instrument at high speed. Exploration and competition are woven together. Replay a course to snag every hidden KAT letter, or chase a legend's ghost time to earn precious reputation. That reputation unlocks tougher opponents and rarer parts, driving you forward without harsh gates or grindy loops. Minor physics hiccups, like clipping through terrain or odd collision quirks, can yank you out of the flow, and veteran racers might crave more punishing trials. But these moments are fleeting, and most races feel fresh. What truly elevates Wheel World is its atmosphere. The seal-shaded art style bathes everything in vibrant color, turning every ride into a moving postcard. The soundtrack, ambient pulses and hazy synth, swells during races and recedes when you stroll beside your bike. It feels handpicked to match your heartbeat. I found myself riding not just to win races, but to feel the wind on my face, to marvel at sunsets painting the sky, and to unearth every hidden path. Wheel World respects your pace, celebrates your curiosity, and rewards both the racer and the wanderer inside you. I scored a 8 out of 10, and I recommend it to anyone who loves exploration, creativity and upgrades, and a racing game that feels more like an experience than a test. If you long for the freedom of the open road and the thrill of a perfectly timed boost, this is one ride you won't want to miss. From the moment your drop pod smashes into New Atlas's fungal crust, you're thrown headfirst into an anarchic ballet of color and chaos. Pulsating mushroom towers spring to life beneath neon skies. Razor-sharp vines whip across your path, and all around, spore-infested robots converge on you like some grotesque mechanical tide. You pick your chassis: Wrangler, the lasso-wielding cowboy; Bruiser, the tank-heavy barrier slammer; Scrapper, the jetpack dancer; or Glider, the wingsuit rocket artist. Each one feels distinct in your hands. Every ability crackles with purpose. Every weapon responds with satisfying weight. And the moment you string together a grappling hook into a charged-shot plasma rifle, your heart pounds. Missions aren't cookie-cutter. One minute, you're escorting a crusty cargo pod through fungal swamps, wrestling with repair kits and dodging acid spit. The next, you're firing an orbital railgun at a spy station and praying your teammates scramble clear before debris crushes them. Every objective hums with tension, because even the simplest cleanup detail can erupt into a life-and-death scramble if you lose focus. Combat is what happens when scripted bullets meet pure improvisation. You'll blow limbs off a hulking fungal tank, only to watch its shredded parts fuse onto smaller bots, turning them into makeshift juggernauts. You learn quickly that the best tactic is never just to shoot. It's to think on your feet, to decide in a heartbeat whether you strip off an enemy's incendiary cannon or blast its core to stop the whole machine in its tracks. There's no stamina bar to clip your wings. Dodge, dash, dash again. Your robo-legs never tire. Ammo isn't a scavenger hunt. It's earned by staying in the fight. Switch weapons mid-combo, watch your bullets refill, and chain your next carnage-studded act without pause. Between runs, the HUB awaits. A sprawling orbital hangar where you and your squad laugh over minigames, tinker with upgrade grids that look like DNA puzzles, and share war stories with Rochard Cox, the greatest, most absurd cockroach overlord this side of the galaxy. You'll hit progression walls, collect too few resources, and see the odd bug where an abomination sniper blasts you through a wall. But none of that dims the excitement. Mycopunk isn't perfection, but it's raw, it's vibrant, and it's a blueprint for what a mission-based shooter can be. If you crave co-op fury, want to master every twist of its upgrade grid, or simply adore the feeling of soaring into battle on a wingsuit, Mycopunk is your next obsession. I give it an 8 out of 10. When I first launched Fretless, The Wrath of Rifson, I expected a quirky riff on turn-based RPGs. What I got instead was an unexpectedly heartfelt musical adventure, one that pulses with energy from start to finish. You play as Rob, a hopeful guitarist determined to topple the evil Super Metal Records and its cartoonishly villainous CEO, Rick Rifson. Along the way, you'll explore vibrant biomes, each brimming with musical puns, curious NPCs, and instrument-themed monsters ready to challenge your skills. Combat in Fretless is a clever fusion of strategy and rhythm. Each turn, you pick 3 riffs, your moves, from a 16-card deck. Some riffs deal damage, others shield you or apply status effects. What makes it shine is the timing mechanic, that your input on the beat during attacks or defenses, and you boost damage or blunt enemy blows. It feels alive. It feels dynamic. When your crescendo meter fills, you launch a special attack via a Guitar Hero style minigame that's both a spectacle and a satisfying payoff. Each instrument you unlock, from the straightforward acoustic to the buff-heavy synth recorder, the tanky bass, and the high-risk 8-string, brings its own personality. You can mod your axes with pickups and strings, and collect pedals to tweak your build. Experimenting with different combinations is a delight, and even a single boss fight can demand you rethink your approach. Sound is the star here. Ambient effects, bells chiming as you walk through a flower garden, rustling leaves scored with soft melody, immerse you in a world where music is literally woven into the environment. Equip the bass, and battle music unfolds in low, driving grooves. Switch to synth, and it morphs into neon arpeggios. Boss battles turn into full-blown rock concerts that had me nodding along without realizing it. Visually, Fretless embraces pixel art with modern flair. Every enemy design is a creative riff. Imagine a spider rigged with amplifiers, or a harp-shaped serpent. Backgrounds pop with color, animations are fluid, and each biome feels distinct. It's a charming package that matches the game's upbeat tone. The game isn't perfect. Pacing sometimes stalls with fetch quests, and exploration can feel repetitive. Some overlapping defensive systems like shields plus timed blocks muddy strategic clarity. Side quests rarely deepen the story, and the adventure wraps up in 7 or 8 hours. But these are minor flats in an otherwise catchy tune. Fretless, The Wrath of Rifson isn't about sprawling epic journeys. It's about capturing the joy of music, of crafting every battle like a personal jam session. If you love turn-based tactics and wish your strategies came with a soundtrack, this is your game. For me, it is an 8 out of 10. It's a short, sweet, and soul-stirring experience that listeners and tacticians alike will find hard to resist. I remember the first time I clicked play. A gentle pixel breeze seemed to sweep across the screen, carrying birdsong and water ripples straight into my headphones. Cast and Chill isn't just another fishing game. It's a quiet invitation to pause, to breathe, to rediscover what relaxation feels like. You begin, as any angler would, with the simplest of tools: a basic rod, a creaky little boat, and your loyal canine companion. He sits by your side, tail wagging at the edge of the frame, a living heartbeat in a world made of squares. And yes, you can pet him. Every tap of the button feels like a brushstroke on a canvas. His happy bark answers back as if saying, "Let's see what we can catch today." Casting your line unfolds like a ritual. You click, the lure arcs through pixelated air, and then you wait. Seconds pass, moments stretch. The soundtrack fades to soft ambient tones, and you're left alone with a tiny bobber, dancing on water that glistens like fractured glass. Then, tug. A thrill passes through your controller or keyboard. You hold back on the reel, feel the fish's strength, then gently coax it closer. It's a delicate balance between patience and action. Money trudges in steadily, like leaves on a stream. You sell your catch at a friendly shop whose owner greets you with a nod and an encouraging smile. Upgrades follow, a sturdier rod here, a longer line there, lures that promise to attract wily species lurking below. Before long, you're venturing from sleepy lake to mist-shrouded river, down to the open sea with waves rolling into the horizon. 50 fish await discovery. When one bites, your heart skips. You wrestle it like a prizefighter, feeling every pixel of strain in your line. It's one of those sublime video game moments where controller and character become one, and victory tastes as real as the catch itself. Yet, the true marvel here is the idle mode. Switch it on, and the game becomes your silent partner. Lines cast themselves, fish are reeled in, and the world keeps turning even when you step away. An email might pop up, you write a paragraph. You glance back later, and your boat is brimming with treasure. No grand notifications, no intrusive achievements, just a quiet tally of progress. Visually, Cast and Chill is a love letter to pixel art. Trees sway atop distant hills, ducks paddle with ducklings in tow, geese fly overhead in perfect V formation, and deer pause at the shoreline to drink. Each scene could hang in a gallery. Each sunrise and sunset feels handcrafted. Sound design too is impeccable. The creak of wood as the boat rocks, the gentle slap of water against the hull, the reel's soft whir. All of it layers into an atmosphere that washes away stress. I lost hours here, not because I felt compelled, but because I didn't want to leave. I give Cast and Chill an 8 out of 10. It's for anyone who wants a soothing digital escape, those with busy minds, weary hearts, or simply a love for simple pleasures. If you crave calm, crave beauty, crave that perfect moment of tension and release when a fish finally gives in, you've just found your next favorite game. Imagine waking up suddenly shrunk down to the size of an ant, dropped into a sprawling city park where every blade of grass towers like a skyscraper, and even the smallest insect can feel like a looming predator. This is Grounded 2, a survival game that throws you into a beautifully detailed but unforgiving miniature world. What sets this sequel apart isn't just its bigger setting, it's how it makes you feel small, vulnerable, and yet surprisingly powerful all at once. From the moment you step into the park, you realize this isn't just another survival sim. The world hums with life in a way that feels both charming and threatening. The way sunlight filters through the leaves, casting real shadows on the moss, draws you in. But when the sun sets and it comes fast, the atmosphere shifts dramatically. Suddenly, the park is a place of danger, where visibility drops and every crack or rustle sends your heart racing. It's a tense, pulse-quickening experience that makes exploration feel meaningful rather than tedious. The gameplay itself flows in a way that keeps you engaged without overwhelming you. The new Omni tool is a subtle but brilliant change. Instead of juggling multiple tools, you get one device that evolves, allowing you to chop, dig, and smash with ease. This small quality of life improvement frees your attention to focus on the world's challenges, not your inventory. Combat is a satisfying dance of timing and strategy. Enemies aren't just damage sponges anymore, they react, block, and counterattack, forcing you to read their moves and strike with precision. The sounds of your weapons connecting carry weight, a crunch, a slice, giving every battle a visceral punch. There's real satisfaction in mastering the rhythms of attack and defense, especially when you're facing larger, scarier bugs or territorial predators. One of the standout features is the introduction of mounts, those quirky little creatures you can tame and ride. Setting up your base, fortifying it, and defending it from attacks has become a more inviting experience too. Instead of surprise raids, the game gives you a heads up, letting you prepare for waves of attackers in a way that feels fair and tense, rather than frustrating. These design choices show a clear respect for players, balancing challenge with reward. But the game isn't perfect. The park can sometimes feel too sprawling, without fast travel options like zip lines, traversing large distances, while scenic can drag. Some zones lack variety or feel underpopulated, which occasionally breaks the immersion. And though the story hints at deep mysteries and conspiracies, it currently feels like only the opening chapter. Still, it nails a delicate balance. It invites you to lose yourself in its world, to feel small but capable, scared but curious. It takes the essence of shrinking down to a bug's perspective and turns it into something genuinely thrilling, something that sticks with you even after you log off. For fans of immersive survival games who appreciate detailed worlds and evolving gameplay systems, Grounded 2 is a strong recommendation. It's a game about patience and discovery, about feeling part of a living ecosystem where every choice matters. If you're ready to be tiny, resourceful, and brave, this park is waiting for you. I'm giving Grounded 2 a 7.5 out of 10. It's a promising, atmospheric sequel with real heart and polish. As it grows, it's poised to become a standout survival adventure for anyone willing to dive into its miniature universe. Shadow Labyrinth doesn't just test your reflexes, it entangles your nerves in its brooding atmosphere. You start as number 8, a silent warrior resurrected by Puck, a floating yellow orb with the demeanor of someone who's seen too much. Together, you traverse a planet of rusted ruins and neon-lit caverns. Each new ability, an air dash that shatters dust motes, a grappling hook that sings as it curls around distant scaffolding, feels earned. There's a moment, minutes into the game, when you unlock your first parry move. You block a grinding blade in midair, and for the first time, combat clicks. It becomes a dance. Sword strikes echo against metal carcasses. Your heartbeat matches the rhythm. Exploration is its own reward. The map unfolds in layers. Foreboding depths give way to high cathedral halls, which in turn spill into open, cavernous abysses where steam vents hiss like living things. I spent half an hour just tracing corridors with a makeshift marker, marveling at how each biome tells a fragment of a broken history. Cracked murals hint at ancient wars, while scattered datapads whisper secrets I wasn't always sure I followed. There's a raw satisfaction in finding a hidden shortcut after backtracking through dozens of rooms. It's a moment of quiet triumph. Then there's the mech, GAIA, your temporary juggernaut. I remember gunning it in a boss arena, sensors blinking red as I transformed. Invincibility crackled around me, and I bulldozed through an onslaught of foes, my sword raining sparks. That rush of power, of unstoppable force, breaks up the game's usual tension in the best way. But it's balanced too. Gaia lasts only 30 seconds. Use it unwisely, and its energy gauge drains before you finish the fight. Shadow Labyrinth wields its quirks like weapons. The shared ESP meter governs both movement and abilities, forcing a constant second guess. Do I dodge now, or save enough energy for a special attack? It's an imperfect system. Sometimes, I stumbled on jumps because I drained that bar, but it also kept me engaged in every moment. Then just when you think you've settled into the rhythm, you touch a neon blue rail and puck takes over. Suddenly, you're that yellow orb, zipping along rails, chomping pellets, evading ghosts in searing speed. Those brief interludes are the game's heartbeat, bright, pulsing, familiar. They remind you that beneath the grime and steel, this is still Pac-Man at its core. It's not flawless. Some platforming can feel floaty. Checkpoints aren't always generous, and the story, shrouded in mystery, occasionally drifts into background noise when it leans too hard on cryptic lore. But even those flaws become part of the tapestry. You learn to love the game's awkward edges. Shadow Labyrinth is not for the faint-hearted. It will frustrate you, it will test you, but in return, it offers moments of concise exhilaration. The clang of sword on armor, the flicker of a hidden passage, the pulse of neon rails beneath Puck's unstoppable orbit. I give Shadow Labyrinth a 7.5 out of 10. It's a game for explorers who crave challenge and atmosphere, for fans of Metroidvania's Unafraid of Darkness, and for anyone curious to see what happens when Pac-Man decides to suit up for war. The moment I landed my first rush combo into a teammate tag, I felt a surge of excitement I hadn't experienced in years. The controls are tight. Every button press connects with satisfying weight. The story mode greets you with static images and brief text. No lavish cutscenes, no booming score. At first, that minimalism felt like a letdown. But soon I realized this isn't about retelling a saga, it's about discovering it through combat. Gon's resolute strikes, Killua's lightning reflexes, Kurapika's chain precision, each tells you everything you need to know about these fighters. Mechanically, the game soars. 18's tag team engine lets you weave combos across 3 characters, juggling foes in midair, switching under pressure, and unleashing cinematic aura arts. There's an elegance to landing a perfectly timed opener, chaining into a teammate's assault, and finishing with a hard-earned super. Even as I explore new hit-confirmed paths and defensive options, the thrill of discovery never wanes. Visually, it's serviceable. Models lack polish, and hit effects are more comic book than explosive, but oddly, that raw look grew on me. Here, substance fuels the spectacle. Every strike feels earned, every combo carries real momentum. Single-player extras, arcade runs, combo trials, Heaven's Arena, offer good challenges, though they thin out after many hours. Online matches sometimes stutter or lag, making clutch moments frustrating. Yet when a clean match locks in, the rush rushes back. Nen Times Impact is a lean package with a surprisingly meaty core. It asks you to look past its rough edges and embrace pure fighting joy. If you crave deep tag team mechanics and love learning by doing, this game will reward your patience. If you want flawless presentation or rock-solid netcode, you might be left wanting. For me, it is a 7.5 out of 10. I recommend it to fighting game enthusiasts hungry for tag team innovation, and Hunter x Hunter fans eager to feel Nen in their fists. And Roger is one of those rare games that stays with you long after you put down the controller. It's a compact experience, about an hour or so, but within that short time, it manages to immerse you in a deeply unsettling yet strangely beautiful story that unfolds quietly but powerfully. At first, you step into the shoes of Sophia, a young girl waking up confused in her own home. The world feels off, the people feel off. Even the simplest tasks, like brushing her teeth or finding her father, become laden with tension. The game isn't loud about its mystery, it draws you in with subtle dissonance. That uneasy feeling you get when something is just not right. That's the core of the experience. The gameplay itself leans heavily into simplicity, with point and click mechanics guiding you through small puzzles and interactions. There's a softness to how you manipulate the world, sliding a dot to unlock a door, or dragging objects. It's delicate and intimate, almost like you're gently probing the edges of Sophia's fragmented reality. It's not about challenge or complexity, but about feeling her hesitation and confusion. Visually, the game is a mixture of hand-drawn art, sometimes tender, sometimes dark and monochrome, that reflects the emotional landscape perfectly. The art isn't flashy, but it carries weight. Each frame feels purposeful, like a brushstroke in an emotional painting. The soundtrack is equally restrained, a subtle companion that rises and falls to mirror the story's shifting tones. As the narrative progresses through 3 chapters spanning Sophia's childhood into adulthood, you realize that the darkness beneath the surface isn't just a plot twist. It's an exploration of trauma and memory, of how past wounds ripple forward. The pacing is deliberate, letting you sit with uncomfortable moments instead of rushing past them. It's a story about what we hide, what we forget, and how we try to move forward. This isn't a game to play casually. It demands your empathy, and sometimes your discomfort. Some scenes are heavy, even harrowing, but that weight is handled with care. It never feels exploitative. Instead, it asks you to witness, to understand, and to feel alongside Sophia. If there's a criticism, it's that the game's subtlety and emotional heaviness might not be for everyone. It's not about thrills or happy endings. It's about confronting a difficult reality in a way only interactive media can. And because of that, it's incredibly effective. I'd recommend it to anyone who appreciates games as an emotional medium, especially players who value story-driven experiences that blend art, music, and gentle gameplay into something intimate and profound. If you're looking for a game that challenges you emotionally rather than just entertaining you, this is one to experience. For me, it is a 7.5 out of 10. It's a flawed gem, short, subtle, but unforgettable. In Dead of Darkness, every sound, every flicker of shadow is an invitation to press forward, to unravel the dark, to test your nerve. You control Miles in a world drawn with raw pixel strokes. It looks simple, almost quaint, but that simplicity masks a depth of emotion. The way your lantern's glow hesitates at the edge of the screen, the way the walls seem to close in as you inch toward the next archive file, it all combines into a heartbeat you can't ignore. Movement isn't a dance. It's a promise that you're not safe. Each step feels deliberate, weighted by uncertainty. You learn early, you can't sprint past every ghoul. Sometimes you must face it. Knife in hand, breath ragged, aiming only in 4 directions. One misstep, and you're bleeding out, or worse, stumbling into a trap that ends it all in a single instant. And yes, you'll curse that trap. You'll scream at the screen. Yet, when you reload and try again, you feel that spark. The promise of victory. Puzzles in Dead of Darkness aren't afterthoughts. They're part of the story. A torn photograph mentions a hidden code. A blood-smeared ledger hints at a mechanism buried under the floor. You piece together fragments, not for points or trophies, but because you sense that each solved mystery is another layer peeled back from Mouse's grief. And in the moment, when you turn the gears and a secret door moans open, you remember why you're here. Voice work is the quiet thunder beneath it all. Miles doesn't grunt, he hesitates. Olivia's voice over the walkie-talkie cracks at the edges. Their lines breathe, they ache. They remind you that you're not watching a spectacle, you're living it. Still, the game has its flaws. Inventory space is tight, agonizingly so. You'll decide between bandages and shells, each choice echoing through the next hallway. And don't even get me started on the insta-death corridors that demand pixel-perfect timing. Frustrating? Absolutely. Immersive? In a way, yes. Every sting of frustration cements the stakes. By the end, as the final secrets unravel and the island's true horror is laid bare, you realize you haven't just played Dead of Darkness. You've battled it. You've endured its whispers and roars, its puzzles and panics. And you come away changed, sharper, more aware of the thin line between courage and madness. For me, it is a 7.5 out of 10. While it is not for everyone, if you're drawn to games that don't shy from tension, that respect your intellect, and that bind emotion to every pixel, then this is for you. Playing The Last Report feels like stepping into a quiet, pixelated nightmare, one that creeps up on you with every report you file. You're a night shift park ranger, back from vacation, settling into a remote cabin. At first, your task is simple: review reports of illegal parking, fishing, poaching, and categorize them. But as the hours tick by, the routine shatters. Photos don't match descriptions. Strange anomalies creep into your files. A dark, cultish murder in the park's past begins to surface. The game blends survival management with point-and-click puzzle solving. Each report triggers a small minigame. Nothing flashy, just enough variety to keep you on your toes. Your resources are limited. Coffee to stay alert, light to pierce the dark, and a locked door to keep unseen horrors at bay. These simple mechanics amplify tension, turning mundane tasks into life-or-death decisions. What sets Last Report apart is its atmosphere. Pixel art and a haunting soundtrack work in concert to build a sense of unease. Shadows loom, colors drain away, and every creak in the cabin feels charged. Contacting fellow rangers adds a human touch. Faint voices over the radio remind you you're not alone, even as the night closes in. The writing dips into familiar horror tropes. A secret cult, missing pieces of the puzzle, but it earns its scares through restraint. Dialogue sometimes feels uneven, yet genuine moments like conversations with Douglas shine through. The ending may feel abrupt, but its lingering sadness stays with you. There are rough edges, underused features like the weather app, no save system, and occasional UI quirks. These flaws can pull you out of the moment, yet the game's core remains compelling. It trusts you to piece together its mystery, delivering tension that lives in the spaces between reports. While it won't revolutionize horror gaming, it offers a distinct, immersive ride. If you love slow burn scares, pixel-perfect visuals, and the thrill of unraveling secrets on a lonely night shift, this is a gem worth your time. Last report for me is a 7 out of 10. It is a game for fans of atmospheric horror and management sims who savor mood over mayhem. In Everdeep Aurora, you play Shell, a small feline child who awakens on a broken bench with only a no from her mother and a rusty drill in paw. This is not just a game you play, but a world you uncover one deliberate chisel at a time. From the instant you press down on the drill button, you feel its weight. Each spark against soil, each hollow clang on stone, resonates with purpose. There are no enemies here, no combat to master, only the slow, careful act of revealing corridors in the dark. When Shell's energy wanes, you learn patience, tracing your own path back to a glowing campfire, tasting relief as the drill hums back to life. Visually, the game is a masterclass in minimalist charm. Limited palettes shift like moods. One moment you're bathed in emerald light in a mossy cavern, the next in sickly cyan within an abandoned laboratory. Tiny pixel creatures, an owl poring over yellowed maps, a mouse clutching a tarnished locket, a toad humming forgotten tunes by lantern glow, are simple constructions, yet each expression tugs at something deeper. And the soundtrack? Keep your volume low and listen for the echo when you drill near hollow spaces. Gentle piano lingers in one chamber, a distant synth hum in the next. The melody fills the spaces between each jump, each solved puzzle, each rescued mole. It is in those pauses, before a platforming catch, after unlocking a secret, that Everdeep Aurora truly breathes. This journey is not without its rough edges. The save system binds you to timbered campsites, lose power before you return, and progress slips away. The rudimentary map resets each time you quit, erasing the comforting trail you once left. Late game objectives drift like phantoms. You clutch a key, wander echoing halls, hoping to glimpse the right door. For some, this becomes part of the allure. For others, a test of memory and will. Yet even these quirks feel less like failings and more like hidden rites of passage. They compel you to stay present, to remember the shape of every cavern, to celebrate small triumphs, a sharpened drill bit, a creaking door unlocked, a secret alcove painted with ancient murals. As you reach one of the game's endings, whether a hopeful reunion or somber resignation, you carry every scratch on your tool, every echo in the dark. In a market clamoring for bigger, faster, louder, Everdeep Aurora whispers. It asks you to slow down, to feel. It reminds you that sometimes the most profound adventures unfold not in epic battles, but in quiet discovery. It's a game that for me is a 7 out of 10. If your heart still beats for exploration, atmosphere, and pixel-perfect storytelling, if you're the kind of player who finds joy in patching together lore and mapping your own path, then let a small cat guide you into the depths. Killing Floor 3 is a game that, at first glance, might seem like just another entry in the crowded world of zombie shooters. But after spending hours diving into its relentless waves of terror, it becomes clear that this isn't just a rehash. It's an evolution, one that pushes the limits of gore, tension, and teamwork in ways that hit differently. The moment you drop into a match, you're met with a visceral rush. Every gunshot thuds with weight. Every enemy's gruesome demise is a spectacle, thanks to the new MEAT2 system, where limbs fly and heads explode with brutal variety. This isn't gore for shock value. It's part of the game's language, telling a story with each visceral kill. It makes you feel powerful and deeply connected to the chaos unfolding around you. The combat is fluid yet demanding. Movement isn't just a way to dodge bullets, it's a tool for survival. Sliding, vaulting, and dashing are woven seamlessly into frantic moments, giving you just enough control to carve through the blood-soaked battlefield. It's satisfying to master, yet punishing if you let your guard down. What truly elevates Killing Floor 3, however, is its class system. 6 specialists, each with unique skills and ultimates, invite you to experiment. The freedom to equip almost any weapon across classes lets you tailor your playstyle, not because you have to, but because you want to. Obi's healing sanctums feel like a lifeline, fostering tense teamwork. Devlin's flamethrower scorches crowds into submission, while Foster's drones add a tactical edge that rewards smart positioning. The perk trees add depth, but progression is gradual, encouraging investment without overwhelming. Yet, the game isn't perfect. Its greatest weakness lies in content variety. 3 bosses may feel limited after multiple runs, and the maps, while detailed and atmospheric, can start to blend together. Without dynamic pacing or an AI director, the game leans heavily on player skill and repetition. It's a grind, no doubt, but one made bearable by the satisfying core gameplay. The story, sparse and mostly in background lore, feels like a shadow. It doesn't steal focus, which is a relief for those here for pure action, but it leaves a craving for more narrative context. The world is there, hinted at in mission briefings and character snippets, but it's a world you have to piece together yourself. Performance and sound design impress. Unreal Engine 5 brings the visceral world to life with crisp visuals and gruesome detail, while the audio, the gunfire, the growls, the pulsing metal soundtrack creates an atmosphere thick with dread and adrenaline. In conclusion, Killing Floor 3 isn't a game for everyone. It's for players who crave brutal co-op combat, who appreciate nuanced class systems, and who don't mind grinding through familiar waves to savor the visceral payoff. It's a game that demands attention, teamwork, and a taste for chaos. I give Killing Floor 3 a 7 out of 10. It nails the feeling of violent, tactical survival, but could use more variety and narrative depth to truly shine. If you love tense, bloody co-op shooters where every kill counts and teamwork is everything, this is definitely worth your time. For casual players looking for story or variety, it might not hold your attention as long. No Sleep for Konami Date is a curious entry in a beloved series. This game feels less like a bold new chapter and more like a quiet interlude. It's a moment to catch your breath between the major story beats we've come to expect, and that's both its strength and its weakness. Right away, you're thrown into familiar territory. Konami Date, with all his quirks and contradictions, is front and center again. His eccentric personality, the awkward charm, even his odd sense of humor, all of it feels just as alive as ever. But this time, there's a weight of repetition hanging over those traits. They no longer surprise. They simply echo what we've seen before. The story itself starts with a mysterious abduction, classic sci-fi thriller vibes, yet it never quite reaches the emotional stakes or complexity of earlier games. Instead, it treads carefully, as if aware that it's filling in gaps rather than breaking new ground. What really stands out are the gameplay shifts. Escape rooms make their debut here, weaving seamlessly with the investigative segments and those surreal dream dives into Somnia. These puzzles, while enjoyable and well-crafted, rarely push you to the edge of your problem-solving skills. They're clever enough to keep you engaged, but not the kind that leave you breathless or frustrated. The freedom to dial difficulty up or down is a nice touch, catering to a wide range of players, but at its core, the challenge feels measured, safe. Exploration and investigation retain their usual charm. Walking through Tokyo's streets, examining every detail, feeling like you're unraveling a mystery firsthand, that immersive loop still works. And the dream sequences offer their characteristic surreal flavor, a glimpse into the subconscious that feels both familiar and comforting. Yet, there's a certain emotional distance throughout. Because this story sits between two larger ones, characters don't evolve much here. Their arcs pause, frozen in time. That leaves a sense of stasis, like you're watching an intermission rather than a full act. It's a game designed more to be experienced than to be remembered. In the end, No Sleep for Konami Date isn't about revolutionizing the series. It's about celebrating what's already there. Those characters we know, the atmospheric settings, the mix of mystery and whimsy. If you're a longtime fan looking to revisit this world and spend time with its cast, you'll find comfort and moments of genuine fun. But if you're searching for a gripping narrative or mind-bending puzzles that redefine the genre, this probably isn't the game for you. So, my final score for it is a 7 out of 10. It's a solid, enjoyable experience with occasional sparks of creativity, but it never quite steps out of its predecessor's shadow. I recommend it mainly to devoted followers of the series or puzzle lovers who want a light, accessible challenge. For anyone else, it's worth waiting for the next big leap forward. Death Relives is a game that doesn't just flirt with fear, it marries it, and then locks you in a haunted mansion with it. From the moment the title screen fades in, there's a wait. Not the kind that jumps out and screams, but the kind that settles into your bones. It starts with a simple premise. Adrian, a student, is on a quiet drive with his mother. Then comes the man in the road, the scream, the dragging, and you, left behind in the dark. That's how Death Relives begins, not with action, but with a sense of helplessness, a loss. The game drops you into a decaying mansion wrapped in Aztec mysticism. This place isn't just a setting. It feels alive, ancient, and malevolent, whispering through the walls, breathing through the shadows, and at its heart is Zype Totek, the flayed god, a being you don't fight, so much as run from, and hide, always hide. Gameplay orbits around a singular oppressive mechanic, your prey. There are no safe rooms, no extended breaks. Every puzzle, every step, is shadowed by the knowledge that he's nearby. The tension isn't just about survival, it's about managing your own fear. Whether to take the long route and stay hidden, or make a dash and risk everything, this choice is constant, relentless. But you aren't entirely powerless. Two tools define Adrian's fragile agency: the sacred handgun, more of a last resort than a weapon, and the God Seed, a pulsating, living relic that reveals the presence of both your predator and your purpose. It's clever, really. Killing Zype Totek offers a short reprieve, but also a cost. The God Seed begins to wither, and unless you spill fresh blood, it dies. And if it dies, you do too. So you kill, again and again. But each time, Zype returns stronger. This isn't combat in the traditional sense. It's a ritual, a loop of desperation. And it wears on you, not just the character, but you, the player. That's the brilliance. Death Relives isn't about power fantasies, it's about consequence. Visually, the game straddles a fine line. The mansion is grotesque and beautiful in that uncanny, something's not right here way. Flesh and stone, history and decay. Some textures feel rushed, some models stiff, but the overall mood holds fast. The lighting does heavy lifting here. Glowing candles, moonlight through broken windows. It captures fear, not with darkness, but with the things barely visible within it. Sound design is exceptional. You don't just hear Saib Totek, you feel him, his guttural breaths, his wet footsteps, his voice, shouting in Nahuatl, echoing with ancient wrath. And then, silence. The kind of silence that makes your pulse louder than the game itself. But the experience isn't seamless. Crashes can break immersion. Controls occasionally fumble. Some animations feel like they belong to a different, older game. There are moments where fear turns to frustration, not because of the difficulty, but because of the interruptions. And yet, you stay. Because underneath it all, Death Relives offers something rare. A horror game that believes in its own myth. That isn't just trying to scare you, but to immerse you in a forgotten world of blood, gods, and sacrifice. By the time the final moments roll in, you realize it wasn't just about saving Adrian's mother. It was about surviving something much older, much colder, something divine. For me, it is a 7 out of 10. If you crave tension over combat. If you love horror steeped in ancient ritual rather than cheap jump scares. If you want a game that dares to suffocate you a little, Death Relives is worth every uneasy heartbeat. Just don't expect to come out unchanged. Imagine a quiet afternoon. You boot up a game that promises nothing more than a simple adventure. Yet, within minutes, you're drawn into the gentle rhythm of a tortoise named Flibius McDougal, whose greatest wish is to touch the sky. There's no epic score, no pounding drums. Instead, soft jazz chords ripple through lo-fi beats, guiding your steps as you explore a sunlit island painted in warm pastels. You wander down mossy paths, meet a sleepy captain who needs juice, and learn that a stick and a bit of string can become your best friend. A hammer, ready for the next little puzzle. Flibius moves at his own pace. He waddles forward, gaze fixed on the horizon, and you feel every ounce of his quiet determination. When he runs, yes, there's a run toggle. It's an unexpected delight, watching his stubby legs push him eagerly toward the unknown. The heart of the game lives in its puzzles. Light, tactile, never cruel. Picture yourself mixing berries to cheer up a crab, or crafting nails from scrap metal to repair a rickety bridge. Each task feels like a small triumph. You're not racing a clock. You're simply thinking, experimenting, and sometimes laughing at your own absurd ideas. Because yes, you did try to mix rope with hay, just in case. Conversations sparkle with gentle wit. A walrus named Wally complains about slippery fish, while a scholarly owl offers cryptic hints in Flibius' secret journal. These aren't throwaway lines. They linger in your mind like favorite books you revisit. The writing has a lived-in warmth, every sentence measured, every exchange leaving you grinning. Visually, the game resembles a living storybook. Soft light filters through the trees, and characters look hand-drawn. Bold outlines, simple shapes, brimming with personality. Flibius' eyes widen as he uncovers a new gadget, and you can't help but feel a surge of pride, as if you yourself had solved the puzzle. Accessibility is woven in. Interactive objects glow gently when you approach. A hidden tab in the journal offers hints, should you ever feel stuck, but there's a charm achievement for resisting its call. It's a small gesture, reminding you that sometimes the journey is sweeter without shortcuts. You'll stitch together the flying machine, piece by piece, part by part. And when the moment arrives when Flibius finally takes off, you'll understand why the game never overstays its welcome. The ending floats in softly, like a feather on the breeze, leaving you wistful, not wanting to leave. Yes, there are tiny wrinkles. The camera might wobble when you tug it with a right click. Some crafting recipes require a leap of faith. But these barely register against the bigger picture. A world that invites you to slow down, to savor small victories, to believe that hope can be built from sticks, stones, and determination. Flibius McDougal and the Mysterious Flying Machine isn't a revolution. It doesn't need to be. It's a cozy nook in an overcrowded world of blockbusters. I rate it a 7 out of 10. It's a reminder that even the smallest dream, if you give it time and care, can lift you off the ground. Diving into Spirit X Strike feels like flipping into a live-action manga. I step in as Carter, inheritor of the legendary Spirit Fist, thrown into a harsh, post-apocalyptic wasteland. It isn't a deep narrative, more like a series of fight chapter vignettes, but it sets a dramatic stage. Carter's stoic mission, the ruined cities and swirling dust, all scream anime spectacle. Think Fist of the North Star or Dragon Ball Z vibes. The world lore unfolds mostly between battles, meeting a gruff mentor Hawk in a cabin, then heading into each new chapter. It's minimalistic, but you feel Carter's purpose and the weight of that Spirit Fist on each swing. The heart of the game is its combat, and that's where it truly shines. From the first punch, the action is fast and flashy, literally designed to make your adrenaline roar. The 3 core systems, Instant Counter, Super Strikes, and Spirit Mimicry, intertwine to let me mix defense and attack on the fly. Pairing at just the right millisecond unleashes a cinematic Super Strike, a brutal finisher with satisfying thwack sounds, as promised in its marketing, and it feels awesome. I love the Spirit Mimicry mechanic. It lets you store moves in your combo and release them later, as if setting up a custom combo string in advance. The result is that no 2 fights play the same. Every skirmish becomes an improvisational dance. A dodge here, a stored combo there, ending with a giant uppercut juggling enemies sky high. Graphically and orally, fights are a spectacle. Punches explode in sparks, enemies tangle in vibrant combos, and every hit lands with a punchy impact sound. The game even advertised itself as an action-adventure that will set your blood boiling with chaotic one versus many battles and intense duels, and it delivers on that promise. Camera zooms on finishers, UI cues flash, though sometimes frustratingly briefly, and you can feel each attack's weight through your speakers. The style leans into comic book aesthetics, muted industrial backgrounds contrasted with neon choreographed fight moves, but Spirit X Strike isn't flawless. The parry timing can be punishing. Even the first boss has no real cooldown windows except when stunned, making parries hard to land. Carter's counter window felt paper thin. In one boss fight, the enemy's telegraph started yellow and then instantly switched to red, giving barely a blink to react. I had moments where I knew I hit parry perfectly, yet still got punched on the floor. Clearly, some attacks aren't telegraphed consistently, and the game can feel unforgiving as a result. Aside from parries, I noticed occasional jank, the camera clipping, or my character hanging on the ground momentarily, but I can't deny how fun it is when the system clicks. Landing long combo chains and watching Carter literally burn through enemies is a rush. After playing, I felt genuinely exhilarated, heart pounding, shirt damp, much more so than most generic brawlers. The solo developer effort really shows here. This was crafted by one person and the passion shines through every counter and explosion. Spirit X Strike is a wild, adrenaline-fueled ride that nails its core goal, making combat feel spectacular. For the moment, I scored a 7 out of 10. Its strength lies in the visceral fun of chaining combos and the sheer joy of its over-the-top presentation. However, that score reflects the unfinished elements. Right now, it's clearly still in progress. Bosses that occasionally go through you, parries that feel too strict, and a narrative that's only half-formed. Ultimately, if Spirit X Strike fixes those kinks and polishes the rest of its content, I hope its final form will reach even higher. Until then, treat this as a promising but decidedly early access experience, fun for enthusiasts today, and one to revisit once that final polish lands. Mecha Break is set on a broken Earth where an AI uprising and resource wars left humanity scrambling. You're a pilot in a shadow, a mercenary outfit chasing the mysterious mineral Karit. Does it fuel your boosters or feed sentient machines? The truth is murky. What matters is that every mission feels like a desperate gamble, and every mech you choose is a gamble of its own. The roster is its headline act. Tricera stomps in like a walking bunker. Narukami ghosts behind enemy lines, invisible and lethal. Alasines transforms mid-battle in a glorious, armor-regenerating flash. Each control scheme is a fresh puzzle, begging to be mastered. I bounced from mech to mech, chasing that moment when pilot and machine become one. That moment came, and it was intoxicating. Combat itself crackles with energy. Boost dashes cut through laser fire. Missiles arc in perfect curves. Melee clashes ring with metallic authority. When it works, when your energy bar hovers just above empty, when you weave terrain to recharge, it's pure, tactile joy. It feels weighty and precise, like you're really moving tons of steel across the battlefield. But Mecha Break is rarely content to let you bask in that joy. The UI slams you with pop-ups, currencies you barely understand, shops you can't close fast enough. Character customization hints at depth, but then locks your male avatar behind a paywall. I lost count of how many times I was mid-match when a crash dumped me back to desktop, penalties and kickback timers included. In the extraction mode, Mash Mac promises PvEBP thrills, but often ends in scavenger hunts for one-use beacons that vanish the moment you die. Ambitious, yes. Polished? Far from it. Balance teeters too. Sometimes you'll storm through matches untouched, while others scrap for scraps, learning the hard way that every mech has hard counters and hidden quirks. Support frames can feel invisible in chaos, heavy tanks can feel invincible when rooted, and those mid-air snipers, they'll puncture your dreams before you even see them. Yet, there's potential here. The core is strong. Mechs that handle like dream machines, set-piece moments that feel both epic and intimate. If the developers can refine the grind, stabilize the servers, and cut the clutter from the HUD, this could blossom into a must-play for mech lovers. In its current state, I give Mecha Break a 6.5 out of 10. If you've ever watched Crimson Energy Flare in a Gundam duel and thought, I want that, then Mecha Break will scratch that itch. But if you're easily frustrated by paywalls, patch day crashes, or learning curves that feel more like walls, best to wait for the dust to settle.